I'm often asked, how late in the year can I go out and seed my yard, or how early can I start in the spring? I am going to go over how you can determine that based on the soil temperatures. We're going to go over what you can and cannot seed as far as the grass species and why maybe you can't. Germination times primarily, to give you a little guidance there. How to pre-germinate seed and when that is worthwhile. This is something I've been asked a lot in the comments in many of my videos. You see it on YouTube, and I'm going to give you some guides, and I'll leave an article down below that goes into this a little bit more in depth, but how that can benefit you, particularly seeding during cooler temperatures and cooler weather. We're going to go over herbicides that you can use that are more conditioned or better performance during cold temperatures that you can go out with to get the weeds out of the way, which is hugely critical whenever you're seeding. What performs better at cold temperatures? And we're going to talk about use of blankets. This is used in the golf industry. I'm going to that here more in a minute, but how that can help you lengthen your season, and so where you can go out and seed and get a little bit of jump on Mother Nature, so to speak. Hard to do, but I'm going to give you some techniques to do it. Now, several other what I will call follow-up videos that I'm going to give you. I'll give you a seed selection video. It's this one. That one is going to tell you what kind of seed, the best seed that you can put in your yard, particularly rye, blue, and fescue, okay? Then I'm going to give you a annua control video. That one is for you guys, particularly going out and seeding in the spring. That's going to tell you how to get rid of the annua in your yard. I'm going to give you a great program on that. Then there's also my overseeding video it's this one. I want to make sure I wasn't saying the same one twice. My overseeding video showing you how to completely renovate your yard and how to maybe do just some spot treatments and how to get the areas that died out, probably your annua. I'll give you some before and afters. Here's my spot treatment, before after. Here's my yard renovation that I did in my backyard, before and after. Just, some success on what I've had at least this spring, actually late summer when I did this. But you can see that and how to do that correctly and how most effectively and efficiently, cost effectively, and make sure you get the best possible seed for your yard. Because I can tell you, the most important thing you can do is seed selection and seed bed prep in getting the best yard you could possibly get. That is going to determine everything. I go over that more in my seed video, but I'm going to leave that I'll leave those here at the end, and they will be in a special folder on my channel. Particularly you guys going out in the spring, this will give you the complete game plan of what you need to get going. So anyway, let's talk about a little bit how to get temperatures and how that determines and when you can and cannot seed. Talk about the blankets, talk about the herbicides, and seed priming at the end. Soil temperatures are primarily going to drive when you can and cannot seed. This is actually a soil thermometer. It does pH, it does sunlight, which I don't use sunlight a whole lot. The pH meter is a good guide. It gives you a vibe for where the pH is, but mostly it does soil temperature. And that, believe it or not, is going to drive a lot of what you can with seed. Also going to help you a little bit with in the fall and in the spring when you could start up again. When you seed, it needs to be between 60 and 85 degrees. Generally, you're not seeding that much during the summer anyway. We actually had a golf green I did down in North Carolina, a huge golf green. We tried to seed it in cool season grasses, bent grass, in July, and couldn't get it to germinate till mid-September. So that's on the high end. Low end, obviously, once we get into 60 degrees, it's going to be very, very difficult to get that seed to germinate. Now, at the end of the video, I'm going to show you a pre-germination. When you are into those lower part of that 60 degree, or maybe even a little bit less than that, how you might be able to pre-germinate and maybe get some grass seeding or get some seed to germinate if you're really behind the 8 ball. But anyway, it's going to be driven by this. I'm going to leave a link to this thermometer down below from Amazon. So anyway, now I'm going to show you this chart. This is a zone chart. Okay, you have zone, I think it goes clear down to 10, which is the tip of Florida, clear up to zone 3, which is my folks in Minnesota, northern Minnesota. I am in zone 6. Okay, so everybody in zone 5, you're about 2 weeks ahead of me. In other words, I'm 2 weeks warmer than you are. So what I am doing in November, you really can't, to you, that would be about
probably that second, third week in October. Catch me? Okay. So you guys in zone 4 are going to be probably the first 2 weeks in October. I'm going to be what you guys doing in the 1st October, what I'm doing the 1st of November. So that's going to give you an idea. So anyway, so that gives you an idea of what I'm going to tell you now. I had sports fields. When I did sports fields, I used to go out prior to a game, maybe, and hit the bad spots. Soccer actually tore up a field more than anything, believe it or not, football did. But anyway, this is back in the day when you used to have grass on football fields. And I had reasonable success until about the first week in November with ryegrass. Get to why ryegrass is relevant here in a minute. But I had good, and then after that, I couldn't get anything to germinate. And if they went to the playoffs, I had a heck of a time because the field was a muddy mess by then. Because it's just too doggone cold to get to germinate. But I had success with ryegrass in November. Now, I didn't do anything fancy, but that was just putting out dry grass seed. Now, for every degree of temperature increase, biological activity doubles. So do keep that in mind whenever you're talking about seed or putting anything out or doing anything. Biological activity doubles every 10 degrees. So it does make a significant difference when we're talking about temperature. A little bit about germination. The reason why I use ryegrass. Ryegrass germinates in anywhere from 3 to 5 days. And that's generally in that 65 to 75 degree temperatures, about around in there. That's the happy spot. Tall fescue anywhere from 7 to 10. Bluegrass. You guys want to see bluegrass. It takes 21 days. So if you're going out late in the year, if you're just wanting cover, or you can go either way. You can go ryegrass, tall fescue, blue ash, you really don't care. Go with ryegrass, because ryegrass is going to germinate, it's going to mature, and I'll tell you why that's important here in a minute. And it's going to give you better performance if you're doing late in the year. Bluegrass is going to be very difficult. You can only really see bluegrass once when it gets soil temperatures get below 65, because presumably it's going to be a few more weeks before it gets below that 60. You can probably, once you get below 65, it's going to be tough to see bluegrass. It just takes too long to germinate. So the problem is, the other thing to consider, and I'm going to leave up, here's the photograph, this is the University of Wisconsin article I'm going to leave down below, is desiccation. That's what we're talking about as far as maturity going into the winter. Because what happens is this grass actually, for lack of a better word, freeze dries, particularly when there's no snow cover and there's very high wind. And this can actually kill grass. What happens is essentially it just dries up and it just gets too doggone cold and it dries and it kills it. That's one of the things you got to worry about as far as getting the grass to a mature level to where it can actually survive a winter because of the desiccation or even snow cover and perhaps even snow mold for you guys up north. So that is one of the biggest things is desiccation. Now, I got some notes here I'm going through. Dormant seed. That's something else you hear a lot about. Dormant seed is essentially what it is you are putting out seed when it's below 40 degrees but above 32, talking soil temperatures. The practice, and I call it a practice because it's more than a theory. It actually can work, does work in some situations. I would not recommend it, but I want to tell you guys my opinion on it. Maybe if it's something you want to try, you got some extra grass seed, what the hell, throw it out there, see what happens. Dormant seeding is essentially putting out when soil temperatures are below 40 degrees. They're going to stay there until it warms up in the spring. If you do that, let's say December, I'm going to do a dormant seed. You go out there, you rough up the soil a little bit, you push grass down, press seed down, it sits there. The problem with that is if you get one of these February, January warm green ups, like I get in zone 6, sometimes in February, I can get 60, 65 degrees in February for a week or so. And that's going to be enough to wake up that seed, and then it's going to start to pop. Then I'm going to get really cold again, and then it's going to do desiccation. It might get some snow mold, or it just might get too doggone cold for it, and I've lost what I have. The reason why I'm cautioning you guys on this, if you're going to go out and spend $200-300 worth of grass seed and put it out thinking it's a dormant seed, you're not a good idea. I think you're going to be wasting your money. You got some extra seed thrown around, hey, it's worthwhile. I just want to let you know my 2 cents on as far as dormant seeding. So that's the big thing. If you get a warm spell, and if it does not pop, or if it does pop and it doesn't wait till March to do it, you can be wasting some seed and some money. I just throwing it out there to you. Now, okay, you're too late. Many of you guys may be in Minnesota. I'm putting this video out in the 1st of October. Let's say you're too late. Don't fret. Chill. okay? See this as an opportunity to get rid of your weeds and prepare a good seed bed. And the further north you are, conceptually, I know some of you guys in Wisconsin, you guys up in Chicago area, you can get hotter than Dickens there too, and dry. So I get it. You guys can get some pressure in the summer too. But chill. What you can do is see this as an opportunity to get rid of all the weeds in your yard, to germinate in the fall, in the winter. You're going to go out, you're going to hit it with some herbicide, you're going to get all the weeds out of it, and then you're going to seed right into it. And now you've got this nice spring you've got coming in, and you know the temperatures are going to get better. Now, if you're going in late, you know they're going to get worse. Well, you're putting in something where it's going to get better. So see this as an opportunity. Now I'm going to give you some herbicides here that you can use in cooler temperatures, and a couple of techniques that you can use to get rid of all the weeds in your yard. One of the herbicides that you can use is called Speed Zone. This came out, late 90s from a small company called Gordon's. And they make good products. They're not one of the big ones like Syngenta or whatever, but they put out some pretty good turf products. This one works when air temperatures are 50 degrees. And the nice thing about that is very few herbicides do that. Mostly they got to be above 60, above 65 degrees. I'm talking air temperatures, not soil temperatures now, in order for them to really work. In other words, the weed has to be actively growing, and generally it takes about 60 degrees for that to start happening where it actually absorbs the herbicide. This actually works down to 50. The chemistry of it and the science of it escapes me right now, but that's the big marketing tool for this. It does work very well when the air temperature is 50 degrees, and it pretty much will whack majority of your broadleaf weeds. It does a good job. I've actually used it's good stuff. So if you want to go at something early, or maybe do something late, you can seed into this 1 week after application. Okay, read the label. Always read the label on these products, but you can put this out and you can seed 1 week afterwards. So that's a nice thing about this. Some herbicides you got to wait 3 to 4 weeks, depending on. This one only a week. So keep that in mind. Now, you can also, I'll talk about that pre-germination here in a minute, here at the end. Now, 2 other products. I'm gonna give you 3 more products here. 2 for backpack sprayer guys, 1 for granular guys. I'm going to give you Torcity and Tenacity. These are mesotroph active ingredients. The nice thing about these are you can seed that same day. And with the backpack sprayer, and I have a annua control video I will leave here at the end. This is probably the route I would go, is using these. And I'll give you a granular herbicide, same active ingredient. I'm talking about backpack sprayer guys right now. In the annua video, there is, and I can't remember the university that did it, and I have it cited in my annua video. You go out with this of 0.12 ounces per 1,000 square feet, and I think you do that 3 times over a certain period of time. I think it's every week for 3 weeks, but go to my annua video. I can't remember that off the top of my head. I got it right in that. Back to my granular guys. The Scots for seed, instead of going at that low rate, you guys obviously can't do that. It's not going to work very well with a granular product because you're not going to get the coverage that you're going to get on those weeds as you will with a backpack sprayer. So go out at the recommended rate once it gets above 65 degrees air temperatures over a few days. Then go out 30 days later and do another application, and that is when you seed. What you're doing here is very similar to what the Torcity and Tenacity, that annua program that I go over in that video. You're putting some out there, getting into that annua plant, and then you're hitting again and getting in that annua plant again. That is really going to knock it back. Can't say it's going to be effective. It's probably not going to be as effective as putting out the spray and the Tenacity and Torcity, but that's going to be you're going to have a better results if you go out high rate, and then seed that second high rate, and you should be pretty good with that. So that's the game plan for you guys going in the spring, to get rid of your weeds and seed right into it. Now let's talk a little bit about a few other blankets.
Golf courses up north, I'm talking Minnesota, Connecticut, etc., so on and so forth, have been using blankets on their golf courses greens and specifically high-end places, greens and teas. Now keep them on there all winter. That reduces that desiccation where it gets kind of freeze-dried grass, particularly when you don't have snow cover, and it also reduces a great deal. It just keeps that grass a little bit of a greenhouse effect underneath of it. I'm going to leave, I found one on Amazon, and I'm going to leave that it is a weed barrier, but it's going to act the same thing as one of these blankets. Few things in using those I'll get to here in a second. But the nice thing about this one is it's black on one side, which will absorb a lot of heat. And I'll get to the heat where you got to be careful on these here in a minute. The other side is green, and it also comes in white, where white would help you able to reflect the sun. But that's not what we're going here for. We're actually wanting to warm up the soil. What you can do, you can actually put this on bare spots on your yard early, as soon as that snow's off there. That will heat up that soil just a bit. In addition, when you seed into these bare spots, go ahead and seed, put that on there, and then monitor it. Once when that seed pops, germinates, and gets about a half-inch tall, then you can probably take that off. The reason why you need to do that is so photosynthesis can go ahead and take it and get some sun. If you really want to dial it in, put it back on lightly and staple it down at night. So you're putting a blanket over top of it, and essentially it will continue to be warm. And you can do that. So we're kind of cheating some things here. It's a little bit of labor intensive, but if you really want to start things quickly, this is one of the techniques that you can use. And a few things to monitor with. You can get one of these, and this is actually the one I have, but I'm going to leave a link to one here in Amazon. This is a high-low temperature thermometer, meaning it gives you the highest temperature and the lowest temperature. And it gives them for a refrigerator. Where I'm getting significant is where you need to be somewhat careful. I think you're going to be fine earlier in the spring. But where you need to be, you don't want that temperature to get above 85 degrees. Okay, and this could potentially happen if you have a really good sunny day. If it starts getting above 85, you really need to back off and putting that on during the day. Okay, there's seed priming, and then there's seed pre-germination. We're going to go over seed pre-germination. I'm going to leave an article down below from the University of Madison, Wisconsin, which is what these techniques are based on. Those you've seen my channel before, my channel is science-based. I generally put the works cited down below, so to speak, from all the university research, and that's essentially the only thing that I use. As far as when I give you recommendations, they're all science-based. I'm an agronomist, North Carolina State University graduate, so everything here is science-based, so that way you're not wasting your time or doing some internet hack. Now, few things about pre-germination or priming. We're going to do the pre-germination technique because the priming, I think, is just too much for a homeowner to do. You guys can check that out if you want to do it, but we're on talking pre-germination. Two things. Yes, it does help that seed germinate faster. When you put it out, it will germinate. If you put it out just put it out dry by itself, and you put another one side by side, the pre-germinated or the seed prime area will come up first. What they have found in the article down below, all things being equal, about 10 to 14 days later, there's not much difference in the turf stand between those two different ways, putting out dry or pre-germinating. Where this helps is when, and two applications in my opinion. One, when you're dealing with a sloped area that could wash and you need that seed to germinate quickly and establish and hold that soil into place. The second is what we're talking about in this video is cold temperatures. What you are essentially doing by using pre-germination or priming is when you're putting out cold temperatures, like we talked about with, if you're looking at seeding, down at that 60-degree level, you are essentially putting the seed in an environment that is actually warmer. So be aware if you're going out, particularly if you're going out in spring, you take this water out of the tap, you need to get the water to at least 65 degrees. Ideally around that 70, 75 degree mark. Don't leave it in the garage overnight when it's going to get into the 30s because that's going to lower the temperature. You want to keep the temperature of that water above 70 if you can. Obviously, you do not want to go above 85. That or you're going to be cooking it. Unless you want to eat it, keep it below 85 degrees. But around that 75 degree, 70, 75 degree mark is happy, okay? And so what you're doing is you are actually waking up the grass, and then when you put it out, it's already got a pretty good start, particularly if you're doing spring seeding or if you want to do late fall seeding and put pre-germinate with that warmth, then put the blanket on it. This may, there again, another technique to extend both those together could really extend things for you. Give it a shot, try it out if it works for you. Now, how do we do this? First of all, what we need water, obviously. And I've got a fish bubbler here. And what that does, it does add oxygen to the water that can help. It is not a deal breaker, but it will help if you've got one of these. I had a fish tank, so I'm going to pop that in there. And now I've got bubbles coming in, and it does oxygenate the water fairly well. It's not a bad thing to have. Now, you can use cheesecloth. This is, believe it or not, this is a boot cover that I use to paint the house. Anything that will allow water to penetrate but keep the seed in, you're fine. But cheesecloth is one that you can just simply take, put your seed in there, and then just, tie at the top, put duct tape. I'm going to use a little tie at the top. So then you want to put that in there, get it moist, make sure it's completely submerged. If you have some seed floating in the top, don't worry about that as long as it is wet. Then you're going to come back at least once a day, every 12 hours, and stir this. Now, here's the most important thing. You've got to change this water at least every 24 hours. If you want to change, you're already there, you could probably just go ahead and take your seed out and replace it every 12 hours. What happens is you have germination inhibitors that are actually secreted by the seed. And if you leave that in there, okay, those germination inhibitors are going to work on that seed, and it's not going to germinate. So and not only are you not going to get any germination, you're also going to lose your seed. So what I would do instead of stirring it every 12 hours, just take it out, put new water in every 12 hours, or at least definitely change your water every 24, okay? Anyway, now, depending on the seed, and we talked about germination of seed and when that does germinate, how many days are you going to do that? Well, on ryegrass, generally probably going to do this for about 2 to 3 days. Tall fescue, probably 3 to 4, okay? Or probably 2 to 3, okay? Maybe 4, but probably 3 would be the max. Bluegrass, you're going to have to do this for at least 4 days, okay? Take it out, okay, after that 4th day. Here is why I don't do that. Well, one of the reasons why I don't do it on golf courses is if I'm fertilizing, if I'm seeding 75 acres of fairways, I'm going to need a swimming pool. So, this is good for small areas or home lawns. This is not a bad thing to do. But here's what the problem is, and here's why I don't generally recommend this all the time. What is the pain in the butt is this seed now is soaking wet. And particularly with ryegrass, and they talk about this in the article about pre-germination, this seed is soaked, and it is a hot mess to put out. You obviously don't want to dry it completely, but it needs to be reasonably dry. There is some, Milorganite actually has on their webpage to put it out and mix it with Milorganite. I have tried that. I don't recommend it. The reason being is Milorganite's a great product. The problem with Milorganite is it's got a little bit of moisture in it, and that's not going to do you any good putting this out. You need to mix this. And I think his name's Steer. Anyway, in the University of Madison, Wisconsin, they said corncob carriers, which is actually in pesticides, granular pesticides, which they're not available. What I would do is I would go out and get some sand, dry sand. I'm talking bone dry sand, and then blend this together. The water in this seed will mix with that dry sand, and that way you are able probably to get it out if you want to hand sow it, there is a possibility you could dry it up enough with that dry sand to actually put it out with a spreader. I have found in doing this technique, and this is the biggest pain in the butt with it, is getting it out after you soaked it. So probably if you're going to pre-germinate seed, that's going to be your biggest bugaboo, is getting it dry enough to put out in a uniform way. And do be aware, you don't want to overseed. I'm going to give you, right here is the pounds per thousand on each of the grasses we're talking about. You don't want to put too much down. If you put too much down, the grass is going to be a bit immature. I'm going to wash my hands here. The grass is going to be immature and weak, particularly if you're going out late into the fall. You're going to weaken it because it's going to be competing with the other grass in the area. You don't want to over apply seed. Okay, if you were wondering what I put out, actually, this is the Phillips Tall Fescue blend. I got this from Twin City Seed Company. It's all tall fescue. Daybreak, I'll get into this in my seed video. Daybreak, Providence, Revolver, and Valles. So anyway, I got this from Twin Seed Company out of Minnesota. And I don't get anything from them, but I have found that they have excellent quality seed. They have the New Blue, I believe it's New Blue, is bluegrass on Amazon. I got links in my seed video on that. If this has helped you, please like. If it does, it brings me up in the recommendations, and if it helps you, it'll help someone else. And also subscribe. I keep my things very topical. That's why I'm doing this in late September, just to get, if you would have subscribed and hit the bell, you would have got a notification I'm putting out this video, and it probably would have helped you, because if you're watching this in late November, it's like, poop, already gone. So I try to keep things like my overseeding video. I did it in late August, which I did that so all my viewers know beforehand of what maybe they need to be doing and how they need to be doing it. So anyway, like I said, I'm an agronomist, North Carolina State University graduate in 1994. I've been in golf course maintenance construction for over 35 years. And I'm a little bit, let's see, I did July of last year, 2023 was my first year of my channel. And now we're over 5,000 subscribers. So we're doing pretty well. If this has helped you, I'm really, really glad about that. I want to get you to where you're not spending a whole lot of time, a lot of money, and you're reaching your goals. And it's all science-based. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. Thanks.